Hi Kai.
Hey Maria.
Alright, so I'll get you to introduce yourself, who you are and your business.
Yep, my name is Kai Van Lieshout and I'm the founder of OpenGrid, where our mission is to decentralize and empower the power network and the energy grid. So what OpenGrid does is it actually decentralizes power and connects homes to one another. So if you have solar panels, OpenGrid will allow you to actually sell your excess energy directly to other homes in your neighborhood as opposed to your energy provider. And usually this will allow homes to get around 2 to 3 times as much for their energy.
Lovely. Thanks, Kai. So what was the first step in your journey starting this business?
I think the first step was really choosing to take it from a problem to a solution. So it all started when I went to install solar panels and basically realized that what we'd be doing is buying energy at night for around 20 cents a kilowatt hour, but then during the day we'd be actually paying sending our energy to the grid and getting around 6 cents. So there was a huge discrepancy there, and it really just made solar panels way less affordable. So the idea here was, well, why should I be selling it back for 6 cents when my neighbour's buying that same energy for say 20? So once I identified that, it was basically about going through the process of going, hey, here's a problem, let's find a solution to it, and actually taking those steps to go, let's find a way that we can fix this, as opposed to just going, oh damn, this sucks.
Lovely. So you figured out the problem. How did you start your business?
So it all started with understanding the space. So the people here at Startup Bootcamp are amazing, and Startup Bootcamp was actually one of my first steps. So talking to Stuart Allenson, the resident energy expert basically, he was an awesome first step in terms of identifying the way that the grid really works and how we can present a solution to this problem. So understanding not only that the problem exists, but how your solution can sort of fit into it in a profitable way, that was basically the steps.
Perfect. Kai, you identified the problem, you started working on a solution, started talking to people like Stuart and doing some research in the space. Now, how did you start explaining that to people?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And with a startup idea, you don't realize it, but every time you talk about it, you're pitching in one way or another. So when I brought it to Stuart, that was pitching. I had to pitch it to him, and he had to decide it was worth his time to, put in effort to it. So this really began with EnergyInc, and that was the first step that I took. So Startup Bootcamp's program, and it was an excellent program. It took my pitching from essentially just trying to explain the ideas in my head in a way that I thought people could understand to essentially like a flow through of the problem, the solution, the impacts with case studies, and it really became quite a structured sort of speech, I guess, that I had in my head, and I could rehearse it and really do it in any space, an elevator, 30 seconds. And that was all done through EnergyInc.
Lovely. And while you were at EnergyInc, you were also doing something else on the side, also with the same OpenGrid solution?
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
That's correct. So late last year, I applied to the Red Bull Basement program, where myself and my friend Sam applied to represent Australia. So idea was OpenGrid, and we had to make a 1-minute pitch video where it was uploaded online and then voted on by the entire world. And our idea was sort of initially within Australia, so each country has a best idea chosen by the community, and then the winners from the respective countries go off to the Red Bull Basement Global Final in Turkey. So our video, again, it's a video, but it's still a pitch because you're still pitching your idea, just through a different medium. So our video was actually voted the best in Australia, and we won, and we ended up representing Australia at the global final. So it ended up working really well that because of COVID, Basement got postponed. So I finished the full EnergyInc program and essentially got a really polished pitch that had been looked at and refined by all the experts here at Startup Bootcamp. And then I got to present that really polished final product to Red Bull Basement in the global finals. And we actually ended up finishing second in the whole world. So that was pretty cool.
Congrats. Well done. So pitching skills, obviously, that were learnt in EnergyInc, and you refined also through participating in the competition, were very key to your success. Would you say you're an expert now at pitching?
I don't know if I call myself an expert at all, but I would say compared to my former self, I am leaps and bounds ahead of where I was. Yeah.
Beautiful. So if you can give us your top 3 don'ts for pitching,
Yep.
what would they be?
I would say don't try to sell the business. You're selling a solution to a problem. So make sure that you illustrate the problem and how your solution naturally complements that, and then the business will sell itself from there. Secondly, I would say don't focus too much on the financials. You need to add a personal element to it. So with our Open Grid pitch, we tell the problem and solution through not broad statistics in a macro standpoint, but we actually used a case study of a real person we interviewed and said, here's this person who was paid this much and was promised that their system would pay itself off in 4 years, and it ended up being nowhere near that, and it took them over 10 years to repay. So that's a huge mistake that some people make, is missing that personal element. And in terms of the third, I would say you don't need to spend too long on it. Like, really, oftentimes I think founders have a lot of things in their head about why this is great, why that's great, and there's this thing here, but really people just want to hear a really short, succinct pitch, and keep yourself to a super tight time frame. So throughout EnergyInc and Basement, we had a maximum of 3 minutes to pitch. Basement was 2, and we managed to get everything in there. It was hard, but it forced us to really realize what is our business, because if you try to put, if you're allowed 5 minutes, you can go on so many tangents. So keep yourself to a really short pitch, do that, and then expand from there is what I would recommend.
Thanks, Kai. So they're your don'ts. What are your top 3 tips? Must-dos.
Yeah. So you must talk about the problem first. You shouldn't start with a solution first. So you always have to illustrate what the problem is. And even better, as I said, sort of inverse of it, illustrate it through a person and a real life impact that problem has. So then after you've done that, dive into your solution and use that through, of course, like a case study about what's the impact of your startup, because that's what people are going to invest in and buy, is the impact, not the startup itself. Practice would definitely be my second one. So throughout that whole period, there was around, I would say, 8 months of pitching that was really going on from the start of Open Grid to when we pitched at Basement. And by the end of it, I could pitch in my sleep. I knew it off by heart because I'd done it, honestly, like hundreds of times. And when you're on stage, nerves are always going to overwhelm you. It happens every time. And what you need to do is have that muscle memory of the pitch that you can just rehearse out and practice your body language at the same time, because what a pitch is it's so much more than just words. It's an expression on stage that you're trying to deliver to people, and what you need to do is practice sort of the symphony of all those things in one delivered, and you need to get that definitely under your belt.
And in front of a very powerful investor as well.
Yes.
It would be very scary, just
Yes.
as scary as being on stage.
Yes, 100%.
And then the last one.
So then third, I would recommend pitching different types of pitches depending on who your audience is. So for me, I have a pitch that I explain to people like my mum, dad, grandparents, people who might not know the space and they might not know really what the problem is. Then you're going to want to pitch a completely different thing to someone who's, say, an energy expert at a big company, because they're going to know the problem, they're going to maybe have heard of your competitors, and what you're going to need to do is really go into the technical specifics with them, but you're going to want to steer clear with probably most other people. So the third tip would definitely be practice a variation of pitches depending on who you're pitching to.
You did EnergyInc and Red Bull Basement, kind of alongside each other. How was EnergyInc part of your success?
So EnergyInc, I would say, was really critical to the success, especially in Red Bull Basement. So it worked out quite nicely that Red Bull Basement happened about a month after EnergyInc wrapped up, maybe a bit less. So I had the final pitch day for EnergyInc, which was a 2-minute pitch in front of a relatively large live audience. And then I stepped from that, basically could refine a little bit more, and then it was on the plane to Turkey. And the net result, to be honest, was I was transformed by the end of EnergyInc. So the pitch practice delivered by Startup Bootcamp was amazing. And it was actually quite funny because we ended up landing in Turkey and Red Bull held some pitching workshops. And they were running people through what your pitch should be like, how you should start, problem, focus on the people. and I was looking at it, and I was actually texting you because you had obviously helped us a lot with our pitch, and I was saying, we've literally got exactly what they're telling us to do. Like the staging, everything, the climax, everything that I had developed from EnergyInc was exactly what Red Bull were teaching us and what they wanted us to deliver to obviously Red Bull's really sort of important and prestigious investors. So for me, that was really reaffirming about what I'd learned at EnergyInc, and obviously the proof was in the pudding. When we got up on stage, and it added an extra layer of confidence, I would say, that I just wouldn't have had otherwise.
Perfect. One more question. So Kai, you're a uni student wanting to become an entrepreneur. You've gone through EnergyInc and done Red Bull Basement. Now, what is your recommendation to any other uni student out there in the position that you were 6 months ago?
I would say, to be honest, just give it a crack. So when you're at uni, you really have nothing to lose. Quite unfortunately, your time's not worth much, as most people probably realise. And now's the time to really give it a go, because people are really, really kind to uni students. That's what I learned. And there's a lot of people who are super smart and super busy and powerful and do really important big things that are willing to just give their time for free to help you out. And that's the biggest thing, an advantage that I would say uni students have, is just that there's so many people willing to help you out if you ask them. So honestly, just ask really smart people doing cool things, and if you ask enough people will help you out, and you'll be able to do a lot of cool things.
You've gone on this journey. What are the next steps for you?
Yeah, so Open Grid is actually applying as we speak to the Clean Energy Regulator to issue carbon credits to renewable energy producing homes. So the idea is essentially to allow homes with solar panels who export clean energy to earn carbon credits for this energy that they're offsetting by exporting obviously carbon neutral energy into the grid. And that's the next steps for Open Grid. We're looking to hopefully get that approved in the next 2 to 3 months and begin signing up homes and getting users online. So we've launched our website opengrid.energy, where users can currently sign up to join our waitlist, and we're looking for partners to come on board, potential employees, mentors, anyone who could help out with Open Grid from a team standpoint. We're looking to expand, and then obviously anyone with solar panels, please sign up.
Lovely. Thanks, Kai.
Thank you very much, Maria.